very low tolerance for like medical emergencies at the Denver airport. I'm like, they got a room for that. Over there.
Is that common?
Oh yeah. I mean, people come now that marijuana is legalized in the state, so it's a lot of people question about it. Not that I see them all the time, I when friends have come to town, they're like, oh, try it. And they buy like all these things. 3 days later, we have to leave. They're like,
It took me a while to catch up on this. It's good. I'm like, is she eating? Oh, she does.
all right.
Yeah.
So I very much. And then on the way in Charlotte, we went to the store. So we're like, humans are eating metal cans while we could get the order. And it's like screws pain, they went away, they said other people were standing there, they're back to squeezing the other. Oh, right. That was probably my greatest issue. But it was like half the time. So much less. Couldn't help it. As long as I go trash, good, they used to have
I'm the reservist. I'm reserving the retirement table. You see retirees wander. Good, good.
that was United.
Actually, Johnson.
Been here before.
You're sneaky.
Thank you.
There you go. Yep.
Good. How are you, Sally? I'll let you know. Where will you be?
Kind of right around here, and then just right there in my office if you need something. But yeah, be right here for right now.
Okay. It sounds like the mic's working and.
And he's got the gentleman from Live Media's got all his stuff set up, so he's ready to go through.
We had. So.
Yeah, that's on. So that's one, but if you don't want to stand behind it, you can use this one. This is what we're handing off.
Okay.
So we'll just
Did
clip
you
it on
actually
in.
do a dry run yesterday? Did you come over here
Yeah.
yesterday?
Yeah, from the airport. Came here. This is not on yet.
Unless there's a clicker, there's no way.
There is a clicker.
Okay.
I don't see it. Maybe John has it in his pocket. It's a Bellamy clicker, and it's plugged in here. Probably has it. Yeah, we had it yesterday, and I'm surprised if you put his laptop down and we don't have that in his hands.
Yeah. All right. I'm wondering why the screen looks like that.
I think, are you up? Your laptop is up?
Get your practice in with it. You good to go?
I did. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So it's gone again. All right.
So let's get you. Good morning.
Hey. So what's up? Tell me what you're
There we
trying
go.
to do. Okay, hang on a second before you do this. Okay, just let me know if you want me to do something with the computer. Okay, hold on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In other words, don't touch my computer.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. No problem.
I'm trying to get right now. I got to do one thing at a time, and I'm trying to get the clicker to work.
Yeah. So, a couple of things that I need to check on
Okay.
is we need to get your audio on and see if it's splitting out.
So audio on, but this is the.
And then we need that plugged in.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right,
So
that's great.
now,
All right,
go
go ahead,
ahead
touch it.
and external. So that's where we want to go. Okay. So now you should be good there. Speakers on it. Okay, great. Now, so John, at this point,
Yeah.
what you'll want is to get the PowerPoint up. If I'm right, yeah, you're extending, so you're running two monitors. So you've got this as a screen, but you've got that as a screen. So go ahead and open up PowerPoint. Okay, now, and it's not up there. So all you have to do here is, right there is your slideshow view.
Yeah.
And if you click that now you've got your next slide. You've got your slide that they see, and you see the slide that you're about to show them next. Now you can use the clicker.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to turn that off.
Okay.
But this, wow, I'm surprised that went off.
Well, it does. It's letting you know that that's what they're seeing. So when you went blank, you did a blank. You basically said blank the screen.
So then,
Now what
I do kind of want to see what
you're still
what
in.
is next.
Yeah, see how you're still in slideshow. Now what you'll have to do is you'll have to go back because you actually have multiple screens going on right now. So what you would have to do is minimize this window in order to see what you're about to put up there.
Did that not do it?
No, we'd had to have hit resume. So
why is this different from yesterday? I don't know why Rachel's up there. I mean, I asked Sandy to reserve that table, so yeah, I get that chair reserved for Lacey. He's going to be here late. Tony's canceled. Ed's supposed to be up here.
seeing the way they're seeing the full screen? Is that what you?
Yeah, we want to see the same thing they're seeing.
Okay, so let's go into slideshow.
Okay.
Hit resume slideshow.
Where's that?
Start right here.
This shows me.
So if you want that, let's take out presenter view because that's what you saw a minute ago. You saw the 2 slides.
I'd like to see my notes.
Yeah, no, she wants her notes, and it's got the next slide
Yes.
that comes up.
Yeah, so presenter mode is fine.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
what, it will look different from what we rehearsed yesterday. By leaving that box
I
there.
just don't understand why when I go to this, it doesn't have.
Okay, so go down here. You have 2 windows going on. Yeah, so go right there. Hit that. Hit that. Minimize this because it's in there. We've got it up.
What are you looking for? The
Oh, I know
comments?
why. You blanked it with that. Hit that blank button again.
All right.
Now go back to resume slideshow.
Several hours doing this yesterday, and now we got a whole different setup.
How is it
Okay.
different?
I don't
Go
know.
down here and let's look at the other. There we go.
So there's no notes on that slide. This is the next slide,
Okay.
subsequent slide,
Will
correct
it
slide.
will it go? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn
Okay,
that on.
and this works.
It's I think it's on.
All right, so I'm just gonna do that for the minute.
Yeah.
I think I might go. You have water?
Not yet. Oh yeah, we do. We do. Ice water. And I've got one. I didn't look at it that close. It'd probably be a better picture today. Oh, nice. Do you want to set those somewhere?
Thinking about that.
And I can hand, like if maybe if they're here, I can hand them to you one at a time because you're going to talk about each one. Do you want me to hang that from over?
I'm gonna actually wear it. It's just that, yeah.
Everybody's like, I'm going to keep fire. Ready?
I want to be sure I have something in my teeth and I'm very uncomfortable. Just want a little, I know, just want a little boost of energy. A shot of espresso.
I drink some water. That's a big one.
Hello? Welcome. Can you guys hear me? Joe, can you hear me? Liz, can you hear me back there? Welcome. I always say welcome when we have events like this and whenever I'm speaking. And I just want to clarify, I always say welcome at least since around 2014. Because in February 2013, in February 2013, well, my dad passed away in January. We had a lot of stuff going on at the company, kind of some controversial things. There was a little bit of conflict, and I called a meeting, and I was frustrated, and I came to the podium and started the meeting. And a few days later, Ed Hardman walked into my office, and he said, "John," and he sat down. Ed didn't really come to my office very often. He sat down and he said, "You know, it was a great meeting. We accomplished a lot, covered a lot of material. I was disappointed that you didn't welcome your team." And that made a lasting impact on me. So anytime you ever see me in the future it will say welcome, because that's one of the lessons I learned from Ed Hardman. So today we have an agenda. We have some honored guests. I'm going to talk about them. We're going to reflect on the past couple of years. I'm going to share some feelings about 2020. We have a couple of guest speakers, so Megan Kilpatrick and Rob Arnett will be addressing some areas, and I'll wrap it up, and then we'll eat and have a chance to mingle a little bit. So today's honorees are Laura Sessions and Ed Hardman. I had invited Tony to come. I wanted to include Tony, and he had something that came up yesterday that he texted me and said he couldn't make it. So we'll invite Tony the next time we get together. So I don't think this was supposed to be the next slide. However, maybe what the plan was for me to just kind of wing it for a few minutes. Also with us today, I want to recognize Lynn Doobie and Pat Ryerson and Donna Fulton. Donna was here for close to 40 years, 35 years? 36 years. And Lynn for 15, and Pat for around 25? 25? Yeah. So welcome. I'm so happy to see you all. I'd like to first start off with a few words about Laura. Let's see. I think I did bring some notes. Laura is arguably, so the thing that Ed and Laura have in common, and I'll get into that, is we're not exactly sure how long either one of them worked at Bellamy. And it's kind of fuzzy. So Lacey founded the company back in '76. Laura was a teenager, almost, not going to give anything away. And so she's probably been hands in the business for Bellamy's entire life. She officially joined after graduating from UNC Chapel Hill, and it's been, I think, the word is around 33.5 years or something like that. That's what Sandy told me. And she was working at Bellamy when I met her, and I've been have witnessed what she has contributed to this company, and it is immeasurable. So I just want to tell a couple of stories. This goes back into probably 15 years ago. Sorry, we're getting feedback. It goes back about 15 years ago. And we were having a discussion. We had an employee who had a lot of authority, and he wanted to do some things that were pushing the limits on integrity, I guess, related to some HR things and some other things in the area, in that area. Laura brought it to my attention and was making the point, at very best it was questionable, at very worst it was dishonest. And what were we going to do? What was I think it's going to fix itself. So I thought for a couple of days and came back. I'm just going to stand over here. And I came back to Laura and I said, you know what, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and I realized that what this man proposed has risk to it. And I think that we should have a zero risk tolerance in our HR administration and financial management team. And because every time we hire a person, every time we take on a new client, every time we give a price to a client and take on an obligation, we are taking risks. And the last thing that I wanted to do was to have risk in this area. I commend Laura for really raising this as an issue and giving me the time and space to have clarity around it. And you guys have, a lot of you in the room have heard me tell this story that I'm going to tell again. It may be the last time in a group setting, but so maybe 9 years after that, the IRS called and they said, hey, we want to come over and look at your financial records. And then it turned into more than that. They said, we want to do a full year audit. And they came over and we gave them a tour of BUC, of Sunny Knoll. And I remember standing on the second floor, kind of near Todd's office with the IRS agents. And the guy looked at me, he said, look, if you've got anything that you want to tell me, now's the time. I just put someone away this morning. I said, I don't have anything to say. And that was the last time I saw that gentleman. And they ended up auditing not us, Bellamy, just for 1 year, but for 3 years. They audited my other businesses I was involved in for a 3-year look back, our personal finances for a 3-year look back. It took them more than a year. 13 months later, we received a letter in the mail. They said, we've completed your audit. We don't have any changes. They didn't say they were sorry. They didn't say great job. They didn't, it was like, okay. I'm happy to say that I credit Laura Sessions with that. And I think that, what she is leaving behind at Bellamy is a legacy of strong financial management at the highest level of integrity. As we go through this deck today, we'll see how, I'll make mention again of how important financial management is to any organization. And so, Laura, I just want to thank you for, again, I use the word immeasurable contribution to Bellamy, and words can't express it. All of the people in this room who have worked with you know it, they feel it, and thank you so much. I do have a gift For you. You don't have to open it right now. I want to add one little thing. This is the kind of the Laura Sessions theme in our financial management group, and I can't remember the word, but Maggie was telling me about it. The business school term. What is that? Poke-yoke. Poke-yoke.
It's a Japanese term.
And what is it? What does it mean?
It's a Japanese term that means mistake-proofing your process.
Mistake-proofing your process. So the mantra, the Laura Sessions mantra for the future, poke-yoke. And thank you for that. We will always attribute that to you. So next we have Ed Hardman. And I'm sure you can imagine the millions of things I could have said about Laura, and I have a like number that I can say about Ed. So I met Ed about 30 years ago. Lacey will be here, by the way. He's coming late, and he'll join us for brunch. But so Lacey Bellamy, the founder of our company. So Lacey used to have a golf tournament each year. Ed was invited, and I'd met Ed a couple of times. And so I was downtown for a business meeting at Reynolds. I was walking down Main Street. It was around lunchtime, and Ed comes walking up the sidewalk. And I'm in my mid-20s, and you know, Ed is already a proven, respected person at RJR at that time. And I'm coming down the sidewalk, and so I see him, and he's about to cross the street. And I said, "Hi, Ed, I'm John Sessions. It's great to see you." And I remember this so distinctly because Ed, he looked at me, and he squared up to me. And what that means is I had his full attention and respect. And he was on his personal time. He was getting ready to go to lunch. He didn't know me. I'm sure he had a lot of respect for Lacey, so that I had that brand equity going. But it made an impact on me because to me it just demonstrated just what a respectful and polite man Ed was. And he wasn't going to stand there, I knew that, and talk to me all afternoon. But I just, you know, for that brief moment, I had his undivided attention, and it meant the world to me. So I was so happy when Ed joined or began consulting with Bellamy in the early 2000s and then actually joined full time. I was really thrilled about that. So I want to read a few notes that I have about Ed. So on July the 2nd, 2015, I issued a company-wide email. It was pretty long. I'm still going to read a chunk of it. But this is what it said. "I cannot say enough good things about Ed. He developed a powerful asset to our overall team at Bellamy. The marketing sciences team has been instrumental in our ability to win and execute research projects over the past 10 years. I haven't heard a single complaint from the client services team," I said account management, we changed the name, "about quality or timeliness of Ed's team's deliverables, nor any issues with the attitudes of his team members. I told Ed when he brought up the idea of retiring soon that not only does he bring advanced marketing sciences to Bellamy, but he also instills emotional and intellectual comfort within our organization, stemming from his sound decision-making, great common sense, strong business understanding, experience that he'll tell you is the greatest teacher, sense of humor, dedication to and self-sacrifice for the team, and spiritual grounding. Ed has served and still does, of course, as a model for me and for many others here at Bellamy. We are very fortunate to be in a situation where Ed can retire on his own terms while the rest of us can continue to enjoy and leverage the benefits of his legacy in the form of his team of talented data scientists." So I'd like to read some notes I've kept about Ed. I keep a file on a lot of people here with some personal notes. In those. It's not a personnel file, it's a personal file. And so these are just some words I jotted down about Ed over the years. These are just kind of random words, but they describe him. Integrity, mentor, incredible presence, gravitas, incredible sense of humor, storytelling, makes everyone feel comfortable, a people developer, clients trust him, supreme integrator, polite, adheres to high principles and standards. And then some other notes I've made. Here's a quote from Ed. Make sure that everything we do is based on good science. Always read your emails 3 times before you send them. Once for content, once for tone, and once for typos. I didn't really have to read that because I actually quote that pretty frequently at Bellamy. I'll give you my opinion on that, and you know what my opinion's worth. My opinion plus $1 will get me a small cup of coffee at McDonald's. I raised the price up. It used to be 50 cents. Here's an email from Ed to me. One of the things I'm sure you've heard me say is, make a plan, work the plan. Sometimes it makes sense to rethink the plan. I found this in an email from Andrew Wimmer last year. He says, related to teaching, Ed was the best. From day one, I enjoyed every minute he spent explaining something to me, either individually or in a group setting. He had the rare ability to teach everyone in a way that not only demonstrated his knowledge, but more importantly allowed others to learn and absorb that knowledge. He could take the most complicated things and translate them into something easy to understand. I will always remember becoming smarter in every meeting or conversation I had with Ed. This is a cool one. So on July the 1st, 2014, Ed and I interviewed an applicant together, which I do from time to time with different people. And so I was sat down with Ed, and I wrote this down. He told the job applicant, he said, bad behavior is not rewarded here. Only good behavior is rewarded here. A couple years later, we were in a very tense situation with some former employees, and Ed just kind of clearly said, drama is not an artifact of a successful company. Quote that sometimes too, Ed. I want to tell a few stories, and I know it's going to take some time, but it's well worth it. We moved into 175 Sunny Knoll Court in, I think it was 2009. Was it 2007? 2007. And I walked into Ed's office, and we had stickers on each office, and I walked into Ed's office, which is now the one that Melinda is in. And I said, Ed, I love this office. It's great. You can park your car right here, or your wife's BMW convertible, or what, and walk in and out. And I said, it's just that big holly tree that blocks the window. I'm sorry it's there. I wish it weren't there. And Ed said, well, John, I can do something about that. And I was like, well, what do you have in mind? He said, well, today's Friday. Tomorrow's Saturday. I can come out here tomorrow with my chainsaw. And when you come back Monday, that tree won't be there. So I showed up, and sure enough, there was no tree there. And I was thinking, this Southern gentleman packs a mean chainsaw. Couple other things. I just want to. I had a bunch of stories, but we only have so much time. I do want to mention this. So Ed and I went to we've been on trips together, and Ed and I went to Boston together for a big data conference. It was a long week, and we both packed bags. And so we got into Logan Airport. We got our luggage, retrieved our luggage, and I was like, well, you know, I said I was looking up. It's for $1 each. For Ed's opinion, and $1, we can get a round-trip train ride to our hotel. Okay. So we get our baggage, and we find, where's the bus? We find the bus. We get on the bus. It takes us to the train. We get to the train station. The machines are broken, so the lines are long. We finally get our $1 tickets. The turnstile doesn't work that we're going through. We go through another one. We get to the elevator because we have to go over the inbound track to get to the outbound track. The elevator's not working. So we lug our baggage up the stairs and go across, and then they go lug it back down, and we finally get on the train. So we get on the train. We're standing there, and it just seems like it's forever, and people are coming on and on and on. All the seats get filled. People keep coming on. So we're sitting down. So Ed stands up, as a Southern gentleman that he is, or the West Virginia gentleman that he is, and he gives his seat to a female, and of course I stand up and I give my seat to a female. I'm just modeling Ed's behavior. So we're on the train, and then we have to get off at one point. We have to get our bags out, get on another train. We get on that one. We get downtown Boston, lug our stuff up the stairs. We get up to the street, and it's raining. And I'm like, Ed, yeah, there's the hotel. You know, if we walk down that way and cross over this, we get down that walk and cross over that street, we'll get to the hotel. So we're going down the sidewalk, and we get to the hotel. I said, hey, look, let me have your ticket. I'll hang on to them so we can get back to the airport on Friday. And Ed says, I'll never forget this. He's like, John. He always says, John. That's what he called me. John. You know what? I'm having a moment of clarity. Yes, I'm seeing into the future. I'll tell you what. On Friday, when we're leaving, I'll buy you a taxi ride to the airport. So we had a great time in Boston, and we ate at the same Brazilian steakhouse every night. And the last evening before we left, we went and saw Bruce Hornsby together, and just had a great time at that concert. And as a matter of fact, every time I hear Bruce Hornsby, I think about Ed. And when I rode from my house over here this morning, I put on Bruce Hornsby for inspiration this morning. And you know, let me tell you what else I think about Ed. Whenever I give up my chair for a female, I think about Ed. Every time I get in an elevator, maybe go down a few floors, a female gets in, and we go down to the ground floor to the lobby, and I always wait for the female to exit first, and I think of Ed. And then when she goes to Starbucks and gets in line in front of me, I think about Ed. And if I'm just going into a Starbucks and there's a female coming up behind me, and I hold the door, and she says, thank you so much. And then she gets in line in front of me. I think about Ed. And I think about, what would Ed say about this? And I think he would say, well, John, it's just part of being polite. You might have to wait sometimes. You might have to stand sometimes. But with kindness comes patience. And with patience comes kindness. And so every time I have to stand or wait, I get this little Ed Hardman moment that is inspirational to me. So Ed, I just want to thank you for modeling good behavior for me and for everyone else here at Bellamy, for teaching, for leading, for winning us a lot of business over the years, and for leaving a lasting legacy in the form of Marketing Sciences Department. Thank you. So I also need to pay a debt. Well, it's not really a debt, but it's well overdue. Donna and Lynn have yet to receive their retirement gifts.
Thank you, thank you.
And thank you for being so patient. And I hadn't heard a peep out of you or a complaint or anything else. So let's see what the next slide looks like. Thank you. So we're going to talk about company financial performance. Everyone's always asking about that. We want to try to be more transparent and have more updates, frequent updates in the coming year. But this is going to be my summary. So in January 2019, so at the very beginning of this year, we had a company meeting. And I just want to remind everyone what I said then, because I remember how I felt in December last year and in January, and what I was afraid of and what I was aware of. I said it's going to be the toughest year in our history. And the reason is because we had just come off of our largest grossing year in our history, but we had a lot of contracts that didn't renew. And so we're sitting there and late in the year and we're looking at 2019 and I'm just like, whoa, we're going to have a big void and I don't know how we're going to fill it. And we moved Joe C. into new business development. We tried to ramp that up and we just weren't successful. I think the relationship management team did a great job, and we can get to that a little bit more on that in a minute. But I'm going to go through what our billings are. So these are the 3 easy numbers that everyone in the room can understand, and probably the most important numbers. What did we bill? After we paid all of our project costs, what was left over to pay the people in the room and our overhead? And then after you pay the people in the room and the overhead, what was left, if anything? And so I'm just going to throw all these numbers up together. Well, I'm going to throw 3 years up together. First of all, this is this is total billings. It may say revenues, it may say sales. It says sales here, revenues, billings, whatever it is. But when we bill something, we count it as received. And in 2017, we were a little under 20. In 2018, we were over 21. And in 2019, Fred is looking at maybe a little under 17.5. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is the difference between what we bill and our gross, and in this line, which is gross margin, are project expenses. So after we pay our project expenses, this is what we have left over. The problem is we need about coming into this year, we needed about $15,500,000 just to break even. And we didn't get there. So because we didn't get there, last time I'm going to do that. Because we didn't get there, we lost money. We're going to lose money. We've got 2 weeks left. The last couple of years, if you combine them, it's around break even. Everyone got paid. It's a good thing, right? We fed our families, maybe had a vacation. And, but this year, we're at a deficit. So we've set, I've saved money over the years, but we're really have been burning into it in 2019. That's the situation. So what should we expect in 2020, right? Because that's like, all right, well, 2019 is past history. Let's see what it says. Well, it really all depends on us. And that's what the rest of this meeting is going to be about. It's going to be about what are the good things that we have in place now? What are the things that we're going to be moving forward to do in 2020 that are going to be different than 2019? So I want to touch on this High 8 Vision project because we all spent a lot of time on that in May this year, and it was an investment for the company too. And there were some things that came out of that for sure. I think that it did open lines of dialogue. I'd say I'm using the word web versus hierarchy. I feel like I have personal communication with people throughout this organization that I did not have in the past, which is a good thing. I know that that's probably true across the entire organization. I think it energized us. Our mission is to do a lot of stuff really well. I've always said this is either going to make us or break us, and I'm counting on it making us. We do a lot of stuff really well because of how well we work as a team. Sharpened our focus on the revenue per employee number. I think it just gave us an opportunity to share our feelings. This is a big one. Carol's not here, but she was really, I remember, central to this tenet, which is we have such an amazing culture at Bellamy. Whatever we do, we don't want to break that. And there were things that came up, even High 8 suggestions that were like, that's just not the Bellamy way to do things. So I think that was comforting. We've got to improve our sales, marketing materials, proposals, and deliverables. Pausing for dramatic effect. I was really thinking, all that's obvious in deliverables, especially. They helped teach us how to better promote Bellamy. They did that, did a workshop on that. Brought some internal pain points to the attention of senior managers. It was a really good exercise for us. They had some recommendations and requirements. Amy must have said this a gazillion times. Have a startup mindset. Challenge the status quo in every situation. You got to temper that a little bit, but have that energy. Go beyond the call of duty. So think about how's a better way, and go beyond the call of duty. We need to become a thought partner. This is something that some of our clients actually gave us feedback because they interviewed some of our clients. And then these are upstream, downstream are their words. Across the stream is my word. I thought Ed might like across the stream. And so they're saying specifically, we need to be thinking about helping our clients prior to the project. We need to think about how they're going to use our deliverables and make them successful beyond our project. And then we need to be thinking, well, what else can we help them do? And we have lots of examples of that. So this is something I thought was pretty cool. So you can see this big notebook here. And this is their growth playbook that they gave us, and they've shared most of it. But this is a pretty cool slide. And it says, reporting is incredibly important. Deliverables and memories are all that remain when an engagement ends. Your report is the only tangible representation of your brand and what the client bought. And they actually did a little one-off thing, 10 tips for effective deliverables, and I thought they did a great job, and our deliverables team has embraced that. So remaining recommendations, everyone must have a business development attitude. I'm looking at one guy in particular. So who at Bellamy is involved in sales? All right. And I give the example that James Solomon has sold more business to Cotton than anyone at Bellamy. So don't ever think that you're not involved in sales. We need to sell more technology and potentially by leveraging professional services. We need to improve accountability. We need to get better at generating leads and converting leads. Always seek to improve teamwork and celebrate victories together. So what is different as we move into 2020? I would say the lasting legacies of our honorees. If Tony had been here today, I could have talked about the IT team. They are absolutely amazing. What Tony left behind is a group of individuals who are laser focused on what they need to do. They work incredibly well together. It is wonderful. The marketing sciences team, I mean, those guys band together. They really help each other. They just bring brilliance. The financial management group, it's the same thing. So I think these people are now stepping up as Tony has moved on and as Laura is moving on. The majority of the leadership team is comprised of new faces. So we have 13 people on our leadership team, and I think 7 of those weren't on it last year. So that brings a lot of new thinking and energy. The application of our high 8 learnings. And then I want to mention this. So one of the differences between, excuse me, a year ago and now is we knew that we lost a lot of business. Well, we haven't won all that back, as you know. But we have retained, I think, every single client. I may be wrong, but I've kind of did a mental inventory. I think we're 100%, and a lot of the stuff we thought we were going to lose, we didn't. So coming into 2020, I'm more hopeful, at least on that front. Another thing is designation of our insights technology of an area of expertise. I looked on our website. We have one page about technology, and it talks about integrating with SAP and Salesforce. Out of $20 million, $0 come from integrating with SAP and Salesforce. We have not been selling our capabilities in terms of technology. And then the expansion of Bellamy into digital marketing. I just caught a glimpse of Derek back there, and Megan's here, and I know Sarah and Stefan are here. We've got people patched in, maybe Matt and Roger from Colorado. And so we have a lot of capabilities. They have a book of business. They have capabilities. It's a growth area, and they bring these capabilities to Bellamy to use for ourselves. The process paradigm progress has been amazing. It's been hard. It's taken a lot of time, but there's so much value there. And I think there's a recent breakthrough, and Eric isn't here right now, but we had a meeting last week, and we're just kind of thinking about this in a new way that we'll introduce soon. And I'm working on a bonus plan that is really more tied to growth than performance, because we really need to be growth focused. And then the implementation of Traction. So you guys were all asked to read Traction, and we will be rolling that out. We have already started, and I'm going to ask Megan to talk about that in a few minutes. And then the sales and marketing reinvention as an ongoing way of life. So that kind of goes back to the bonus plan based on growth. Rob Arnett has joined and is our Chief Revenue Officer. So I think we have a lot of things to feel good about for 2020. This is what I put together as our landscape of expertise, not necessarily our solutions portfolio, which Rob will walk through in a little bit. But it does really show that we have these areas, these 5 big things we do in marketing research. We have this insights technology platform. We have a meeting this afternoon that 5 or 6 of us are going to with clients just to talk about that. There's really only a little bit of the left and a little bit of the right that goes into it. And then our digital marketing, the whole Alloy product offering is pretty cool thing. It's one of the reasons we dropped research from the Bellamy brand 2 years ago. So traction at Bellamy, this is an awesome thing because I'll just try to be really brief. I have failed. My biggest failure as a chief executive officer is not hiring the wrong people, because a wise man told me once, if you hire people, you're going to hire the wrong people sometimes. But letting them stay too long and not doing what they're supposed to do. And this fixes that. It provides a framework for accountability. The other thing it does is it brings this into play. And I've alluded to this a couple of times. You have to have all 3. Doesn't matter how big or small your company is. So we have finance, financial management. We've talked about Laura's legacy is really solid. Operations, our client service team, our technology, our marketing science, our social research group, outstanding. Sales and marketing, we have been miserable. Relationship management, great, and we've grown some accounts. But overall, when we've lost stuff, we've had nothing in the funnel. I'll keep looking in the funnel, and there's hardly never anything there. We've gone through a lot of people who've been in charge of that function, and we failed. And Rob isn't going to fail. Are you, man? Are you, man? We are not going to fail. I'm in that with him, and it's not all about Rob. It's we're working hard together to make this work. So Megan, I'd like for you to come forward. There's a lot of content. She probably cut out half of what she had. I cut out half of what I had. But there's just some big things that are important for us to hit on while we're together. And then she's gonna ask Rob to come up and talk a little bit about.
And I have to take the mic.
Okay. Get that off of there.
The official handoff has happened. All right. Uh-oh. Let's try again. Oh, it doesn't like me. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll use this one. How's that? All right. I did. I don't know why I didn't like something I'm wearing. All right, so why am I up here? I'm one of the newest faces here at Bellamy. Why would I be talking about what's next for us? Well, Traction is a book and a methodology that we brought to Alloy a few years ago, and it completely transformed the business. It took us from every day kind of figuring things out as we go to really feeling like we were ahead and we were tackling things in a better amount of time, holding each other accountable. If you think of multiple people and they're sort of headed in the same direction but not quite, how far could they really pull something? Whereas if there's true alignment and everybody's pulling together, you can get a lot farther really quickly. So for Alloy, it was transformative, and it also improved our profitability exponentially. So I've been helping to implement Traction here at Bellamy. I have some experience with most parts of the book. There's some where we fumbled at Alloy, and I'm excited to see that Bellamy has taken off in areas where we had more trouble. So it's been exciting. We're going to look today at Bellamy's progress through Traction. We're going to look at our core values, our guarantee, the 3 uniques, the meeting methodology, rocks, and the people analyzer. This list was twice as long 24 hours ago, so you're welcome. Uh, First up, core values. Core values, it's important to understand how we came up with the core values. They are based on looking at the people at Bellamy and picking out what are the characteristics that make them such a rock star. If we could clone these people, we would dominate. So what is it about them that is so effective for Bellamy? And that's how we developed the core values. It grew out of looking at the talents and skills that we have in this room and through streaming. And then thinking about what do we want everyone to embody and what really fits Bellamy and what's going to help us grow. So number one, client success is our success. I'm sure it's no surprise that our first core value is client focused. At Bellamy, we are growth-oriented, results-driven, agile, and responsive. Our clients trust us because we understand what's important to them and how to help them improve performance. Our second, no drama. Thank you, Ed. At Bellamy, we bring integrity, respect, and humility to all that we do. No gossip, no drama. It just gets in the way. The third, continuous improvement. At Bellamy, we are modern practitioners and strategic thinkers. Our ability to learn and evolve has been the source of past success, and it is the key to our future. And fourth, dedication. As we can see from those who have been here for many decades and who spent so much of their career here and are now gleefully retired, dedication to the team, to our brand, and to our clients is probably the fiber that keeps us so strong. This is another Ed quote. We don't stop until our clients are delighted. We're really glad you're here today, Ed. And I just met him for the first time today, so. All right, our guarantee. This is the guarantee that we bring to our clients. We promise we will be the best team you've ever worked with. This is something we've heard from our clients, that they're impressed with us as a vendor, that we outperform other vendors that they've ever worked with, and this is what we want everyone to feel when they work with us, that we are the best vendor they've ever worked with. And our three uniques. These really drive marketing. The first two are more of a feeling. We own your problems. We really get in there and we help our clients. We understand what's going on with them, and then we work together to solve them with them. So it's that strategic piece, it's consultative, and it's something that our clients feel and understand that they can trust us and come back to us, and we will help them. Second, delivering excellence always. We have a really high bar. And that's something that we've seen at the Alloy team as we've come in the last few months. It's a high bar, and the clients expect that, and that's something that helps with retention of clients. And number three, it's a little easier to market. We have an unmatched combination of integrated capabilities. And this speaks not only to the Alloy team and bringing digital marketing, being able to execute on the research, but it also ties in with the technology. So let's take a little look at that. And I wish I could walk around, but I can't. All right. So on the Bellamy Teal side, you'll see marketing research, UX testing, customer experience, everything that we know Bellamy does so well. And those all tie in and feed and inform the strategy for digital marketing, for building websites, for doing visual design. One of our most successful projects so far was with Wake Forest, where Bellamy did the UX testing, and then Alloy did new prototypes, UI, UX, and then built the actual solution. Then it got tested again. So the loop comes all the way back around, because we want to test things before they go live, and then we want to test them once they're live. We always want to, it goes back to the continual improvement as well. A lot of things tie in, like Ed. And then technology is really the thread that carries through all of them. We've got our insights technology, a huge stack of technical service and products that we offer to our clients. We also have a lot of technical expertise in the digital marketing side with a content management system that's customized for our clients, as well as an e-commerce platform. All right, So those were the three uniques. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to move forward in our marketing, to really embrace those, to help other people understand what is so different about Bellamy. Meetings. All right, I've got a little exercise. If everyone would raise your hand in a fist in the air, you're going to keep it up. This is how I require 100% participation. So this is your default. If the answer to the question is yes, you're going to open your hand, all fingers. If you're a no, you just stay with a fist and keep your hand up. All right, first up. Do you feel like some internal and client meetings are out of control? That's a lot of fingers. All right, closed fist. Next up. Do you ever leave a meeting and feel like you're no further along than where you were when it started? Okay, closed fist. Does your team suffer from entertaining tangents rather than tackling real issues and making decisions that will result in positive changes? Yes or no? All right, everybody look around. There's a lot of fingers. A lot of fingers in the air. All right. And I think that's a good point to make. I think there's small pockets of people where they've got it down. They know what they need to do. They get to it. And I think as an organization, we have a lot to learn from those people. There's also times when we need to talk about some hard things, and it's not a quick conversation. So how do we do that in an effective way? How do we not skip over what is important to address, but also respect the time of everybody in the room? We don't need to launch into something that we don't actually have the right team there to talk about. So we need to be more focused and deliberate about our meetings. So this is the meeting methodology provided by Traction. They're called level 10s, and this is a little bit about the agenda format. On the left-hand side, I know it's small. The first up is segue. Takes a couple minutes to settle in. If somebody's coming from across the campus and they need the extra 30 seconds to get in the door, the segue is just a nice opportunity for somebody to share some good news. You just got off a great client call, you got an email that was a great compliment, or you found out you have an opportunity to pitch some business. That's a great opportunity for the segue, just a quick sharing where people are coming together. Then we move to the scorecard. The scorecard is a way to give us updates on what's measurable about the business. So a scorecard looks different for every group, and not a project team might not have a scorecard, but the leadership team certainly does, the growth team, sales team, operations. What are the things we can look at and find numbers on that show us how we're tracking? Are we up week over week? Are we staying steady? Or did we have a dip, and do we need to investigate what happened? It's a quick exercise, but it's important to have that data and to look at it frequently. And then we come to rocks, and I'm going to talk more about rocks because they're my favorite. But rocks are always there on the list just to remind us what our rocks are. To-dos. To-dos are short term, and they're things that as they come up in the meeting, we say, well, that's a to-do. We need somebody to do that. Who's going to do that? When are they going to do it by? And then issues, and we'll talk about issues. As part of conclusion, we want to rate the meeting. We go around and we say on a scale of, well, the book says 1 to 10, but at Bellamy we do 0 to 10 because we're a research firm. We want to rate the meeting on a scale of 0 to 10, and 10 being the best meeting, solid, couldn't have improved it in any way, and 0 being absolute failure. Maybe nobody even showed if you get a 0. Never seen one. And the rating lets us take a pulse at the end of the meeting and see how the meeting was for everybody in the room. Sometimes 1 or 2 people feel like it was great. Then you go around the room and there's a 5 and there's a 6, and you're like, oh, yeah, we really didn't include everybody. Or it just gives you a moment to talk about like what wasn't as effective in that meeting or what could be improved. Oh, I don't have more about issues. I must have deleted that slide yesterday. All right, so issues. The important thing about issues is to identify them, discuss them, and then solve them. We don't want to just spend the time talking and have that feeling of leaving no further along than where we were when we started. And solving doesn't mean that it's just finished and magically better. Solving means that we're moving it forward, that we've identified some to-dos. We've identified that, wow, this is really big and it's going to be a rock. And we can start to think about what this rock means and who might be the best fit to lead this rock in the next quarter. So identify, discuss, solve. Really moving things forward rather than just talking and kind of treading water. Rocks. All right, this is really tiny. So picture a glass cylinder on a table. And next to the cylinder are rocks, gravel, sand, and a glass of water. Imagine the cylinder as all the time that you have in one day. The rocks are your main priorities. These are the things we keep referring to. The gravel represents your day-to-day work, the things you have to do. And then the sand represents interruptions. And the water is everything else you get hit with as the day goes on. So if you do what most people do, you pour in the water first, then the sand, then the gravel, there's just no room for the rocks. The cylinder is full. The big priorities don't fit, and that's a typical day. So what if we reversed it? What if we worked on the big stuff first? We put in the rocks. Next comes the day-to-day responsibilities. We add the gravel. They fit in around the rocks. Now dump in the sand, fills in all the little cracks, and then pour in the water. Everything fits. The bottom line is that you need to work on the biggest priorities first. You need to carve out that time to make progress on the things that actually matter the most. Everything else will fall into place. So what do rocks look like? They should be defined in a way that completion is clear. If they're really vague and general, yeah, I sort of did that. Or, it doesn't feel like we're there yet. But if it's something more specific, even if you're taking a year-long, really big, hard thing that is more nebulous, you break it down and, well, what does that look like? What could I do in one quarter? What could get done? And how do I know when I'm really done with that? It needs to be doable in a 3-month time frame. There's a reason New Year's resolutions are gone by like April, May. As humans, we have about a 3-month attention span when it comes to a big concept, something we want to commit to. Hopefully not bigger commitments. I'm not going there. So doable in a 3-month time frame. And then they need to be owned. It needs to be one person, not multiple people. It doesn't mean that that person's the only one working on it. It just means that they're the driving force bringing it forward. You're responsible for scheduling those meetings. You can't say, well, it didn't happen because we didn't get together. Well, no one takes responsibility for that. If one person is the owner, they know they need input from 20 people, they're responsible for going out and getting that input, bringing it together, and pushing that rock forward. And then finally, knowing how much we can take on. One person should only have 1 or 2 rocks per quarter. There's just a limit to what we can do. We still have the gravel, we still have the sand and the water. So taking on a reasonable amount that you can actually tackle for that quarter is critical. So how do we use them here at Bellamy? Each team will do strategic planning before the start of each quarter. You review the rocks for the previous quarter, evaluate what was done, not done, what needs to be carried over, or what needs to evolve. But it's reviewed on a quarterly basis so that we can really define things for that 3-month attention span that we have. And then we post them. So they're there at the top of our meeting agenda every week in our level 10. We can see them, post them daily, or see them daily, have them posted by your desk so that you know, ooh, these are my rocks. I didn't make progress last week. I really need to make some progress this week. I need to carve out some time. I need to block off half a day on my calendar. This is important. The end of the quarter is the firm deadline for your rock or rocks. No excuses. All right, people. So this is tying all the way back around to core values from the beginning where we started. People are the key to our business. People are the key to serving our clients, and they're definitely the key to our growth. So there's a concept in traction called the right people in the right seats. And this is something that John referenced when he talked about having some people who weren't a good fit, having them stay too long. And using this framework, it really helps you identify if you have the right people in the right seats. If you're looking for the right people in the right seats, it means there's also the potential to have the right person in the wrong seat or the wrong person in the right seat. Sometimes it's the role, sometimes it's the person, sometimes it's the combination of the two. It's also possible to have the wrong person in the wrong seat. And they need the opportunity to excel at another company. So, the people analyzer is something that the leadership team is starting to work on now. It's not for everyone yet as we figure out how we're going to implement it. But if you can see in the image on the right, it's got some names. And then across the top are the core values. These are not ours. This is just a little grab from the book. So it's far too easy and common to talk about personnel issues in ways that are subjective and unproductive. But by using the people analyzer, we all like to analyze. The evaluation process is focused on what the business needs by evaluating each person's adherence to the core values. So there's a plus, there's a minus, or there's a neutral, a plus minus, and that's room for improvement. We want everybody to have pluses in all categories, which is why understanding and embodying these core values is so critical. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Rob, and we will see if the mic likes him. Yes. I don't know if my earrings or necklace or what.
I'll just hold it. Is it on?
It's on.
All right. And
Oh, there you go. That one.
all right, cool. Well, good morning. First thing I wanted to do was to thank John for inviting me to be part of the Bellamy team. It's been a great experience. I've been here all of about 75 days. But much of what you're going to see comes out of conversations that we had over what I estimate to be about 18 hours of conversation at John's house over the summer, leading ultimately to my coming here. The other thing I wanted to do is thank all of you. I know I haven't met every single person, but I've met most of you. And I have just, first of all, been blown away by the welcome I've received since I've been here. I have never started a job where I got the kind of welcome that I got here. And that just means so much to me. So I want to thank you for that. I've also been blown away by the breadth and depth of talent that is here, which gives me great confidence that we are going to make hay in 2020. The way we're going to do that kind of references what Ed said. You know, make a plan, work a plan. You're going to see the plan here in just a second. GSD, or getting stuff done, is about working the plan. And so much of our success in sales and marketing is going to have to do with execution. So what you're going to see is more evolutionary than revolutionary. I can't claim that anything that we discussed or put together last summer, is going to blow anybody's mind. It should feel kind of comfortable because it's Bellamy. But this is all stuff that we can do. And with the people in this room, I think we can definitely do it. So the basic idea here comes from an insight that we talked about over the summer that, you have a fundamentally different conversation with a client or a prospect when they come to you versus when you go to them, which is why sales, as it's commonly conceived, where you go out and knock on people's doors and call people up cold, why that's so hard. Because you have so many bridges to build and walls to get through in order to engage somebody. But if they come to you, by definition, you may have something that they want. They're a lot more open. They will listen to you. They actually want you to succeed because they came to you to fill a need. So the idea here is that we use marketing to generate awareness and leads to promote our product leaders, which I'll talk about in a bit. Business development, they're the people that take the leads, start conversations, try and match up clients and their needs with solutions that we have. And then products, number one, we have a product line that we have now better defined. I'm not going to tell you that it's final, but we have it better defined than it was a few months ago. And we will have leaders for each element of the product line to use as external experts and spokespeople. So I'll talk about each one of those. They all support each other, they all work together, and hopefully you'll have a good idea about how that'll work in just a few minutes. So in marketing, and I feel so blessed and thankful to have Megan and Stefan and Sarah in particular from Alloy to help with this, because they are so good at this and have just driven things along already so much. But what we're trying to do is generate inbound leads. We want people to come to us. And you do that with a comprehensive, coordinated approach for outbound communication, and it's a whole bunch of things. So now we have social media posts going out on a regular basis. We've got blog posts. We've got webinars. We have people speaking at conferences. All of these things generate awareness and inbound leads. Not to mention the inbound leads that we get just from doing great work for our clients. And I'll mention a couple of instances that I've participated in of the last thing. We've had 2 inbound leads, one from Home Depot and one from HEB, just in the last 3 to 4 weeks. The HEB lead came from, HEB's a grocery store in Texas. They have a reputation very much like Publix for great customer service. They operate only in Texas and northern Mexico. And they reached out to us. They're based in San Antonio. And one of the people in Insights at HEB has a spouse that works in Insights at USAA. So they found out that we do CX work and reached out to us. We had about a 1-hour conversation that Alec led, did a great job, and lo and behold, we have a meeting set up January 6th for a 2-hour capabilities presentation. The second one was Home Depot. Connection was JCPenney, and the great work that Carla and her team do for JCPenney. Because of that, they came to us. That was unbelievable. Because of the great work, it was almost like we were in from the get-go. We had a half-hour conversation, and they said, well, starting in January, when our budgets are refreshed, we're going to start sending you RFPs. That was about the easiest sale I ever had. All about having inbound leads. So we want to generate more and more of that because people heard something from a webinar, conference presentation, a blog post, and said, I want what Bellamy has. So I'm going to call them up. Okay. Business development. The role the business developers can play in this process is when we get leads. John said this the other day. Right now, without even doing anything, we already have more leads than we know what to do with, and we're not really handling them the best possible way. So we will have a set of business developers who, in addition to trying to generate their own conversations through their own contacts and conferences and whatnot, will also act to field all these leads and work with them. You know, if we get a number of these things, they're going to start to pile up. And the business developers are going to have to keep those conversations going with the idea that in the conversations, you're trying to understand the client's needs and match the client up with the person inside of Bellamy who is best prepared and the best person for that client to talk to in order for us to close the sale and create a long-term relationship. They're basically talent managers, so they listen for needs and connect the client or the prospect to the right person within Bellamy. They also have to qualify those leads because we don't want a whole bunch of $10,000 one-offs. We are looking for clients who can deliver $100,000 a year at least in business on a regular basis. So in some cases, that's going to be built from small projects. Other cases, it's going to be built from larger engagements like CX or panels and communities. The last part is product leaders. So the idea is, you'll see in a moment, we have our business currently divided into about 5 buckets of products along the lines of business needs that clients have. And we will have people, actually we already have people, assigned to each one of those product lines who can act as an internal and external expert that the business developers can feed conversations to. So basically the business developer tees up a warm or a hot lead to the product leader. The product leader represents Bellamy, showcases our solutions, and assembles a team to close a piece of work. So they're also responsible for working with our inventory of current products, defining the value proposition, creating content that we can serve out in marketing campaigns, LinkedIn, conferences, et cetera. And as I said, they're sort of the internal expert for business development and the client service managers. So this is, it's kind of hard to see here. You might be able to see the headlines, but this is the current take, which is a work in process, of what our solutions portfolio is. And the 5 main buckets are customer experience. You can see there's a number of things underneath it. There's user experience, which includes most of our digital products, shopper experience, growth and innovation, and brand performance. So we estimate, actually haven't done the math yet, but probably between 80 and 90% of all the work that we do will fit into one of those 5 buckets. We'll still do some ad hoc work because we want to be good stewards of our client relationships, and sometimes you want to go outside of your comfort zone a little bit, but these are the main areas that we're going to play in. We have some additional work to do to weave in there our technology offerings, and as John said, play that up a bit more. But this is a reasonably good representation now and a step forward in how we think about our solutions portfolio. The other thing we want to talk about is product development, because the current portfolio has gotten us to where we are, and it can drive a lot of the growth in 2020, but it's probably not going to get us where we need to go in the long term. So we need to be thinking down the road. We have 2 major product development initiatives going on. Some of you may have seen Greg Archibald in the office. Greg works for a consultancy called Gen 2 Advisors. And Greg is helping us to develop a brand tracking product, which we believe is going to be truly a better mousetrap, because it is going to weave together sort of the standard kinds of survey approaches, but doing it with a sample of people on a mobile panel, which will allow us to track where they've been. So if you're in a fast food tracker, we will know all the fast food restaurants the person actually went to. So we can measure share of visits without having to ask people. We know where they've been because we know where their cell phone has been. It'll also weave together measures of emotion with emotional DNA and also with social media. So there's a number of different data streams that are going to have to come together to make that happen. And I'm not going to tell you today we have that 100% figured out, but we got some real smart people, including Greg, working on that. And we are going to be sharing this out with some selected clients with the hope of bringing on at least one of them as a partner to develop this further. We've also been working on developing the opportunity mapping product, which is kind of an evolution of segmentation that involves looking at both attitudes and as well as need states. We've done some of this work for SRP, a version of it, I will say. But we are trying to come up with a Bellamy-ized version of opportunity mapping that we can take to the larger world. Some of these things we're going to be able to do 100% ourselves. Other things are going to require us taking on partners. And the brand tracker is a good example of that. We will be working with a mobile panel company But as we go to conferences, we're going to be talking to a lot of other companies out there who are working in different areas. This is a time of tremendous change and upheaval in the marketing research business, and we need to be part of that. We need to be part of the flow of the industry and leverage some of the work that these other companies have done, not try and invent the wheel, because it'll be a lot faster if we can use their skills and talents to get us up to speed quickly. So a couple I want to point out here. Dakuta is, I guess the simplest way to put it is they're a big data and AI firm, and one of their claims to fame is weaving together multiple streams of data. So this is exactly what we need for the brand tracking product that we don't currently have in-house. So we're really excited about them. We've had a meeting with them and are currently vetting them as a partner. Another one I'll mention, Blythe and I have been working with a company called Current. And Current has a very cool setup for doing expert panels. They have an AI system for recruiting very, very narrow groups of people who are very tough to find. They recruit not only participants in the research, but they also recruit moderators. And they have a great platform for doing the work. So we are really just looking for the right opportunity for that. We've kind of been close on a couple of things, but we're not quite there. Ingwo is another AI firm that does causal analysis. Think of structural equation modeling or driver analysis kinds of things. Explorer Research could be an extension for our Shopper Insights work. And AdRich uses the Internet of Things. They have a product where they could slap a device or a label onto John's Dasani bottle, and it would connect to the internet and tell us whenever John picks up the bottle, how much he drinks on a particular occasion, the actual volume that goes down, and based on his usage of it, could push a survey out to him in real time to allow him to answer some questions about his experience of using that product. So it's pretty radical, especially for product categories where you never really know when people are going to use the product. So there's a lot of cool things that are out there. That's just a small sampling of them. All right. The next thing and last thing I want to talk about, all the proceeding has really been more geared toward getting in new clients, but we're also going to generate a lot of growth based on our existing clients. We have a lot of client relationships that are nowhere near tapped out in terms of our potential with them. And so I'll give Jeff Goldman credit for, this is his brainchild, but it is kind of an evolution of the idea of relationship managers, taking it to the next level. And the first step to this process is prioritizing our existing clients. So you think about the clients that we work with, there are some that deserve a tremendous amount of attention. We should go see them more often. We should give them tons of attention, our best people, everything that we can do to just think about how can we grow our business with this company. There are other clients that are important to us, but that realistically we're probably not going to get a tremendous amount of business from. So we want to do what we need to do to maintain and defend them. It doesn't mean that you kind of, let them go on autopilot, but they're not going to get the same level of attention as the focus and grow clients. And then the last bucket of clients, we have a lot of clients that come back to us, say every other year they come and they do a study, and that may be a really nice study. But those clients, no matter what we do, we're not going to get a tremendous amount more business from them. And really, if we just kind of stay up with them, we're going to get those projects from time to time. So we want to kind of monitor them, but not really spend a tremendous amount of resource. So this is the same idea as market segmentation. We're going to segment our client base, which we have already done. We are going to classify them according to this scheme, and we're going to work it that way in 2020. The process, I guess you'd say, that we're going to use to do that is we are going to have client success consultants, the evolution of the relationship managers, that are going to work with the client services managers to identify opportunities for growth. They're also going to set revenue targets and goals and help develop a playbook or a growth playbook for those growth clients to help us figure out what we need to do specifically by client, what initiatives are we going to do. Those success consultants are also going to be responsible for making sure that those plans get worked, because they're like rocks. There's so much stuff that you just have to take care of every day. These growth initiatives are going to be like rocks that if you don't pay attention to them on a regular basis, then we're probably not going to be successful at it. So that's the idea. So it really boils down to Ed's idea of make a plan, work a plan. That's the high-level plan. GSD is about working the plan. We have to execute. We have to actually do this. But with traction, I think we really have a process for making sure that these initiatives actually come to fruition. And I believe that is all.
Thank you. That's
There
awesome.
you are.
I was going to try to turn this off actually and use just that. Just do that. Hello? Hello? Thank you. Can you hear me? So 11 years ago, Joe, can you hear me? We were in this room, many of us, and I was standing right here. I don't know if they've changed this microphone even since then. And I never imagined 11 years ago, I was talking about the New Orleans Saints. And Lynn Doobie is from Louisiana. And she loves the Saints, she loves Mardi Gras, the Mardi Gras cake with the baby every year, and the colors. But I had this jersey, and I never imagined that Drew Brees would still be playing at age 40. And it was like 11 years ago today. And the Saints were 13-0. And I stood up here and I talked about the strategy. You know, what was that slide that said, how can we succeed? It's all about us. It was all about that team, their commitment to getting stuff done, to each other, to their strategy, their work ethic that they had. They're bringing it every day, and they were 13-0. And I remember saying that day that even if they lose the next 3 games, they can still look back and say they had a successful season because of the way that they approached every game. It's really about the process. You can't always control the outcome. But because of the process that they applied to that season, their mindset, their dedication, even if they lost the last 3 games, they could still look back and say they had a successful season. Well, it turns out they lost the last 3 games. But they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. And certainly, that was a successful season. So, Sunday afternoon, week before last, the Panthers are playing the Saints. and I'm sitting on my sofa doing a little bit of work, watching the game, and I get this email from Andrew Wimmer at 3:07 in the afternoon on a Sunday. He says, "Hey, John, you're a Drew Brees fan, right? Have you seen the video of the pregame speech about defining moments? That he delivered to the Purdue football team earlier this month before they played Nebraska. Nebraska was favored to win and jumped out to a 10-0 lead, but a late TD gave Purdue the win. Watch the video and tell me his passion doesn't have you ready to run through a brick wall." It's from Andrew on Sunday afternoon a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to show the first minute and a half of this video. And I'm going to try to control the volume down here when I do it.
Man, it's supposed to be my bye week, but you guys got my heart thumping, thinking it's game day for me too. Man, I appreciate being in this locker room. Appreciate being here with you guys. I hope you guys know just how much Purdue means to me. My opportunity to be a football player here from 1997 to 2000, the education I got here, meeting my wife, meeting some of my greatest friends in life. This place has a special place in my heart, and it's always an honor to come back, especially be able to talk to you men. This is what I have to say about today, guys. A streak, all right, a run has to start with one day, with one game, all right? Every season is full of defining moments, and you never know when those defining moments will happen. So I would say, why not today? Why can't today be one of those defining moments? And it's going to take everybody. And you don't know what play it's going to be, or what moment, or what circumstance throughout the course of that game. But today can be a defining moment for you and this team, for this season, and the way it will carry you on for the rest of your career here, and what you do beyond. So as I go around the room here, DBs. Where's my DBs? Man, you guys got to play with swagger today. I've never met good DBs that didn't go out there with ultimate confidence. Now, me as a quarterback, I'm trying to attack you guys at all times. If I complete a ball in front of you, you better get up and say, man, you got lucky. Come at me again. Swagger, DBs, that's what I want to see. Linebackers, hit somebody, man. You want to get this team fired up? You want to create a defining moment?
Pretty awesome. So Andrew goes on to say in his email, Andrew, where are you? He says, when Brees was speaking to the specific position, so in the last 2.5 minutes of the video, Drew Brees goes around and talks to every position in the room, every group of players who has a position, and he's just talking about what to do, the mindset, create that defining moment. So Andrew says, when Brees was speaking to the specific positions, I immediately thought of Bellamy and how we work individually and as smaller units to pull together as one large team to rise to the occasion, with each opportunity being a potentially defining moment for us individually and as an organization. This is what Andrew went on to write. He said, swagger, confidence, that's sales, marketing, and solutions. Get the team fired up. That's shopper insights. Make the big play. That's marketing sciences. Block, catch, run, tote the rock. That's social research. Throw darts. That's the risses. Ask you to do everything. Toughness. That's client services. Control the game at all times. That's finance, legal, admin, HR. Put fear into your opponent. That's solutions development. And hold strong, hold the fort down, IT and security. Just applause. pretty awesome. So I'm sitting there, I'm fired up on my own sofa. But I'm pulling against Drew Brees because they're playing the Panthers. So just after the game ended, I texted Andrew. We went from email to texting. And the final score, New Orleans 34, Panthers 31. Well, I was pulling for the Panthers, but Brees had his 50th last-minute drive to win from a tire behind. It was a defining moment for him, another defining moment. Andrew responded, very cool, dude is a winner, all about accountability and teamwork. I may have gone the wrong way on that. So what's it going to take in 2020 to grow? It's going to take personal commitments, to follow through on what we've heard today, to be true to our core values, to create our defining moments every day, all day long, to embrace teamwork by working well together and making each other successful. So I want you to schedule a date a year from today. I want you to plan on coming back here and celebrating our victories in 2020 together. Thank you all. Now I think we're going to have a couple of tables called at a time. There's the buffet. The servers will come around to refill drinks. Feel free to order a soft drink if you'd like. Also, of course, there's tea, coffee, and water. So, looking for a staff member, I don't see one. But I'll call the table with the honorees. And then you guys can follow. And we're just going this line. And I'll see if I can get the staff out here to record.